Will Hammond's a really good player, and they're going to be fine with him.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to the I Coaches Podcast, the global authority on coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Throwdown Thursday edition, we talk about in segment one the Brendan Sorsby fallout from the college aspect. In segment two, we'll talk about the future of the game with Congress and the Protect College Sports Act. Good luck with that. And in segment three, the college football playoffs 2014 dilemma. With us today, basketball correspondent Danny Thompson's with us, academic and athletic consultant Georgia Hockard's with us, and our favorite administrator, Robert Abney's here to make sense of it. So, former Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby has officially declared for the NFL Supplementary Draft. We talked about that on Monday, but hey, we've got to talk about it from the college side, especially from Cincinnati's standpoint, because they denied knowing that he placed bets, but Sorsby's agent said, hey, they knew. You had a lot of backlash. You had attorney generals coming into play with it. So, Robert, I'm coming to you straight off the bat. You haven't had a chance to chime in on all of this. You're based out of Texas. I am sure it was on the news once or twice. Let us know your thoughts, sir.
Well, I mean, without beating a dead horse, because I know that everybody has talked about it. I mean, number one is that once this came out as what it was, Texas Tech put themselves in an untenable situation. I mean, and they handled it truthfully about as poorly as they could. I understand, the money you've invested. I understand Cody Campbell being a big shot. I understand all that. You handled it about as poorly as you could. And it was never going to end well. There was never going to be, even if he did play, it was going to be, just a nonstop circus. And it was going to detract from, it was going to detract from everybody and everything else that they're trying to do. And I think it's going to, I feel like it's going to have some long-term implications for Texas Tech as a university, especially because of, some of the approaches that they took recruiting softball players. I think that some of those, some of the processes they put in place, I think they're going to get them in trouble. And people are Texas Tech wears black anyway, but they are definitely wearing the black hat. The second thing is that I always found this interesting is that, their backup quarterback last year was a kid named Will Hammond. And I actually have seen Will Hammond play several times, not the least of which was his senior year. He was at Hutto High School, which is an Austin suburb, and they weren't very good. He's very good. They went and played Liberty Hill. Liberty Hill runs a slot T offense. He threw for 780 yards and 8 touchdowns, and Liberty Hill ran for 800 and something yards in the game. The final score was 82-80. I'm not kidding. 82-80. The last game of that year, the crew, one of my high school crews, we went and worked a game at Hutto. It was Hutto and Bryan High School, and the winner of the game, earned the right to go get beat by 50 by Duncanville. And the kids played hard, and Will Hammond wound up throwing for 400 and some odd yards, 6 or 7 touchdowns, drove his team down the field. They kicked a field goal with no time left on the clock to win 66-63 and lost the next week by 50 to Duncanville. Point of all that is Will Hammond's a really good player, and they're going to be fine with him. He tore his ACL last year. I think they were concerned about his rehab. It's almost been a full year. they're going to be okay. And I don't understand why they felt the need to exert so much influence and waste so much capital on a situation that clearly wasn't going to end well for them.
All right, Doc, as our academic and athletic consultant, you haven't had a chance to chime in on this. When this crossed your desk, what did you think?
Well, timeline wise, first when it crossed my desk, I told everybody, like I told y'all, he was going to play. I knew this he'd be out. That somebody would wind up making him eligible. I think as it got down the road and as things went going on, the decision happened to where everybody could save face. The University Texas Tech could save face. NCAA could save face. The opponents and everybody else got a chance to save face in this whole thing. Robert's right, probably right, but Texas Tech has got money and they're going to be aggressive on how they're going to go about getting getting their players. And what's going to stop them? This is another thing. This has shown another situation where how ineffective the NCAA is. And it's another caveat leading to, because I already hear the rumblings of making a whole new league or a whole nother conference or something. I already hear that coming up. And, it's just another, to me, it's just another death nail to the NCAA on how they handle things and how inept they are. So.
All right, Danny, you've covered this from the start. Wrap us up. Sorsby, no college, going to the supplemental draft. What are you thinking?
I think this, like George said, this safe face for the NCAA, because if he'd have stayed and they let him play, it would have been all hell breaks loose within the college game when it comes to, especially when it comes to the gambling issue within college sports. Him leaving was the best thing for them, because if he played, it would have been chaos all around college sports, especially college football, because you already saw the Big Ten was talking about calling and saying, we're not scheduling Texas Tech. Like, there were teams openly trying to take Texas Tech off the schedule, whether it was this year or next year, because of this. So him leaving to go to the supplemental draft is okay. I'm not too big on it. And the crazy thing about it is, someone is going to take a chance on him in this supplemental draft and pick him up. Because of the fact he was a quarterback, he was a solid, productive quarterback for his years in Cincinnati. And teams looked at him and was like, all right, we can make something of it. Now, as a former player, there are going to be questions. Can I trust you when we're playing? Because he's been known to gamble on his team. So it's going to be a conversation that a lot of players are going to have with him. Now, it all depends on who picks him. So this whirlwind that they're going through is going away. They don't have to worry about it no more. It was just crazy that we got to this point now.
What questions? Oh, you're talking about the NFL. They're beating their girlfriends, their wives. They're getting caught drinking. They get caught riding in cars with guns. I mean, the drug dealing. And you can still play in the league. I don't know. Nobody has a clean record in the league. The big thing here is how NCAA and all these conferences run around and want to take money from Bet ESPN and DraftKings and 365, and you see all the commercials. But then when the kid gets caught betting, get rid of them. But we'll gladly take your money to promote our game. So take that.
I will close
Gambling has been taboo. Gambling has always been taboo, especially as you go.
I understand.
And that's where it is. Because if you're betting on your own team, I mean, just the implications of that the potential ramifications. That's the difference. Do I agree that it should be different? Maybe not. I mean, you have a valid point, but yeah.
To quote a very good friend of mine in the segment, what did you think was going to happen? So when we get back on the Ex-Coaches Podcast in segment 2, we're going to go political and talk about the Protect College Sports Act. We'll be right back on the Hot Coaches Podcast.
Today's student athletes face pro-level challenges without pro-level support. The CKA SAVE project is here to change that. For 16 plus years, Dr. Keith Adams and his team have provided comprehensive academic and athletic support from middle school through post-graduation transitions. NIL guidance, transfer portal navigation, academic coaching, career planning, they've got it covered. The CKA SAVE project. When your future is on the line, experience matters. Learn more at www.ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Coaches Podcast. This is segment 2. Congress and the Protect College Sports Act. So before we do this, we always try to remind you of who we are as people. And I am the president-elect of the Drake Group, and they're a 501c4, and they work to provide information to both sides of the aisle to try to assist student athletes with all of the things going on. So I'm going to kind of try to walk you through this and help the audience understand what the Protect College Sports Act is, and then hear from our panelists who, Danny Thompson in particular, sat in on Drake Group's Allen Sachs Symposium. So the Senate Commerce Committee has done a markup of the Protect College Sports Act of 2026, and the majority of the committee, 15 Republicans, 13 Democrats, must vote to advance the bill to the Senate floor, and that vote did pass, so it will be on the Senate floor. Key revision. A critical amendment was introduced to protect non-revenue sports, so athletic departments generating over $80 million in annual revenue are now mandated to maintain 2024-2025 scholarship and roster levels for Olympics and women's sports. You also have professional support. The NFL, the NFLPA, Major League Baseball, and the NBAPA have issued statements backing the bill, emphasizing the need for stability, clear NIL standards, and the voluntary pooling of media rights. So while the ACC and the Big 12 have expressed support, the SEC and the Big 10 remain notable holdouts. The Drake Group, again, an academic think tank, has provided a detailed analysis arguing that the bill's reliance on the House versus NCAA settlement is legally precarious due to the ongoing Ninth Circuit appeal. They recommend replacing the current NCAA Board of Governors and implementing a one-member, one-vote governance strategy structure. And you also have sitting members of the Senate openly saying that the Big Ten and the SEC are not playing fair because they are in cahoots with whatever. Again, it's a lot to deal with. There's a 50-50 shot that it gets past the Senate, but that doesn't mean it gets past the House. So, Robert, I'm going to come to you first because I have flooded you with a lot of information. And again, one of the senators is based out of the state of Texas. So some of this has come across your newscast frequently. Any thoughts on the Protect College Sports Act and its potential impact or non-impact?
I find it interesting because Senator Cruz, obviously from Texas, is one of the co-sponsors of the bill. Senator Cruz has, let me think for a minute, two SEC schools, 3 Big 12 schools, and one ACC school in his state that are potentially impacted by this bill. And the SEC does not want it because the SEC wants to control their media rights, as does the Big Ten. And I get that. And I'm wondering who's giving him feedback from the university side and what kind of feedback he's getting, because I can't imagine that he's getting the same feedback from Texas A&M people as he is Baylor people. I can't imagine that is a thing, right? That cannot possibly be a thing, because you've got two different schools with competing interests. So that's one piece of it. I don't know how you can use the House settlement as a foundation for a piece of legislation when the status of said legislation is yet to have been clarified, because it's still under appeal, right? So we don't know what's going to happen with the House settlement, and it's entirely possible that if you pass the Protect College Sports bill and it gets signed into bill by the president, that the House settlement will be overturned, and then what? Because you have a bill that's based upon a legal settlement that has been overturned. And the third thing is this: you've got the Big Ten and the SEC, and it's a significantly higher than zero chance that if those two conferences don't like whatever legislation, whatever plan is established, it's highly likely that if they don't like it, those guys are just going to take their ball and go home and do their own thing. And we're going to have the SEC 10 consortium over here with all of those schools, and then you're going to have whatever else on this side. And I appreciate that they are trying to do something. I appreciate that. I don't think that what they're trying to do is going to have the desired effect, just because I just don't think you're going to get anywhere if you can't get the SEC and the Big Ten to at least agree in principle to something.
Yeah. And Danny, again, you attended the Allen Sack National Symposium in person, listened to panel after panel after panel, have these conversations. When you saw the amendments and everything going on with the Protect College Sports Act, what did you think?
I still find it amazing that many schools still call the Olympic sports non-revenue sports. Like, I still can't get over that. I remember someone talking about that on the panel, like, let's just call it what it is. They're Olympic sports. And not every sport is going to generate money for a college. We all know what the big three are. We know it's the women's basketball game, men's basketball, and the big juggernaut is college football. We know this. At the same time, there are other sports. But that's a whole nother conversation, Brad, that I can have on the side for another day. I think them trying to focus on protections for those sports was a big key, and I think that amendment was key. I still don't think it's enough to make a dent to get passed, because we mentioned how the professional sports leagues are shown its support, right? That has nothing to do with this if the Big Ten and the SEC don't give way for this bill to come through, because they're so bent on making sure they make money on their own media deals, especially the SEC with the SEC network. It's going to be hard for them to get this to pass through, and you don't have your two top conferences showing support for this. Now, from an athlete's perspective, I don't see this helping, again, because I'm a mid-major guy. This bill is mainly for those Power Four conferences. It has nothing to do with the mid-major programs in the country. Like you said, Ted Cruz has 2 SEC schools, 3 Big 12 schools, and SMU being the lone ACC school.
And we're not even talking about all of the other mid-majors and everybody else, HBC.
Right.
We're not even talking about
Right.
it.
We didn't even get into that conversation yet because we live in Maryland. We know Maryland is a big fish. You also got to remember we got Morgan State, UMBC, UMES. So there's other things to think about when it comes to this bill. And then we're sitting talking about Division I. We don't know what this effect is going to have on Division II, Division III, and at the JUCO level. So they're so bent on those Power Four that it's almost like they're alienating these smaller conferences, and that's not a good look. So I get they're trying to get this done. And it's going to be hard, like you mentioned, with them trying to model this bill after a settlement that is under appeal right now. So for that being your framework, and that framework is under question, you're really going to have to go back to the creative table and get this figured out again. Because if that overturns on an appeal, and then I'm pretty sure they're going to appeal that decision, this is going to be a long out, drag out fight. Because even if the Senate passes this, there is no guarantee this is going to pass in the House. So,
and that's where we'll leave it. So, ladies and gentlemen, when we get back in segment 3, another unsolvable problem. 24 teams in the college football playoffs. We'll wrap up when we get back on the iCoaches Podcast. Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here. And for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond. And that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CKA Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches Podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential. Welcome back to the iCoaches Podcast in segment 3, the college football playoffs 2014 dilemma. So you got college football leadership currently at an impasse, shocking, regarding potential expansion to 16 or 24 teams for the 2027 season. The Big Ten and the Big 12 are driving the push for 24 teams, while the SEC remains the primary holdout, favoring a 16-team model. A central concern is the financial viability of a 2014 field. So expanding the 24 teams would likely necessitate the elimination of conference championship games, which currently serve as a massive revenue generator. The CFP executive director, Rich Clark, confirmed that the 2014 model is significantly more complex than the current 12-team structure. Issues include scheduling, impact on venue availability, player health, and safety, and the potential dilution of regular season games. For example, you got the Iron Bowl with Alabama and Auburn, and guys sitting out of the Iron Bowl because they're getting ready for the college football playoff. That's sacrilegious. So, Robert, 24 teams, you know they're going to get there, but it's taking a little bit of time. What do you think?
I mean, the issue is going to be, can the CFP demonstrate to the conferences that the money that they're going to make in the playoff is enough to offset the money they're losing from conference championship games? For the Big Ten, that's like $50 million. Okay. Now that when you're talking about $50 million, that offset, that $50 million from a conference championship game, that's the conference pool, right? Are you offsetting $50 million? Or, I mean, what's the magic number? How much less are you willing to take? Or what are the payouts for being in the playoff that are going to offset that number? So that's the biggest issue, really. And they'll figure it out because this is going to happen. There are some concerns that people have about, venues and rosters and, are people going to be healthy? And so you're acting like you're worried about that now, because that's different than what we've been doing. Because you're really not talking about adding like extra games. I mean, you're talking about, if you have 24 teams, you're talking about teams 9 through 24 playing each other. Then the winners of those games play 1 through 8, and then semis and finals, which essentially is the same as what you're currently doing with the 12 team, just not as big, right? It's the same amount of time. And I just, they're going to figure it out. They're going to get there. All of it's a money grab. I'm still going to watch. I mean, who am I kidding? I'm not. I mean, I could be mad about it, but I'm not going to lie. I'm still going to watch. And,
Yes.
my issue anymore is, and this ties into, what we just talked about in terms of players. What are players getting out of this? Right? Because we talk all the time in our text threads and everything else about, all of these different models that pop up. We've got guys in the NFL who are making less than they did when they were in college. Which is why everybody's trying to stay, because they can make that bag of money. That's why we had a bunch of people making high-profile announcements, 22-year-old kids, that they were retiring because they had made a significant amount of money in college football, and they decided, you know what, I don't have to do this anymore. I've got life-changing money for my family. I hope it stays that way for them, for their sakes. We got the NCAA talking about, we're going to create an NIL apron system, right? And it seems to me that if you're going to start talking about limiting that NIL apron, what you're really talking about is limiting compensation. And if you're limiting compensation, then you're calling the kids employees, and then you're opening a whole other can of worms. And it's almost like they're creating more. Every time they try to do stuff like this, they're creating new problems, right?
I go back to Common Core with what you're saying. We had a good idea until we tried to implement it. Danny, wrap us up, sir. Any thoughts about going to 24? Yes, they're going to get there, but Robert brings up just some strong points. What are you thinking?
I mean, eventually they're going to get to 24 teams. It's inevitable. It's gonna look like a huge, and I'm dating myself, a huge Big East tournament play with the bracket system. That's what it's going to look like. And you know what? I'm with Robert. I'm still going to watch.
Oh, yeah.
That's a given. The thing for me though is, what are you going to do with, again, conference championships? Because those are, everyone's already talking about conference championships don't matter at this point, right? What are you going to do with the other bowl games? The other revenue generating bowl games that people are going to want to watch, and this, that, and the fourth of that nature. Because I'm telling you, once these teams go to 24 and some of these teams don't go far, your season's done. You don't get to play in the bowl game anymore. So now, here's what's going to hurt the bowl games. We're going to get a lot of sorry teams from those seasons in these bowl games.
Or the bowl games are going to go away, which ESPN is cool with because they own the CFP rights and they own the bowl games.
Yep. So
conflict of interest.
It's a big conflict of interest. So hey, it's the way. So they're going to figure it out. And once they figure it out, it's going to get to 24 teams. Everyone in America is going to watch.
Yeah.
And am I going to like the result of what's going to go away? As a college football fan, I'm not going to like it because I'm a guy that loves those conference championship games. I've loved those auxiliary bowl games. So it's going to be a give or take moment once they get to 24 teams.
All right. So fans, to close, it is that time of year. I'm very excited about it. Our summer college football preview schedule is out. And beginning next week's show, we've got an FCS preview. We'll do HBCUs. We're going to have a show on the Mid-American Conference, the Mountain West, and the Pac-12. We'll probably separate them now that we've got teams in both of them. Conference USA, Sun Belt, American, Atlantic Coast. And we always slide Notre Dame in with the Atlantic Coast Conference, but they're not in the conference. We'll talk about it with the Atlantic Coast. We'll do a full Big 12 show, a full Southeastern Conference show, Big 10, and our OCP National College Football Preview will air August 27th. So we're excited, and we're still going to watch. So on behalf of our Cavalcade Stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and to watching the iCoaches Podcast, the global authority on coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. Also seen on the Cascade Sports Network. Missouri has a good NIL deal. And we'll see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The iCoaches Podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Make sure you subscribe to the iCoaches Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the iCoaches Podcast on the X platform at iCoaches. Follow Dr. Keith Adams and the CKA Save Project on social media at CKA Save Project. For more information about the CKA Save Project, visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the iCoaches Podcast.